reciprocal functions. So again, just like almost every other equation, we have something being in with our x that moves it left and right. But again, that's going to deal with our vertical asymptote. But it's always the opposite because you're asking what makes that 0, right? So if I solve this, it would be plus h. I would add h to both sides. So you see how there's negative h, positive h, so it's always opposite. And then what moves it vertically up and down is always the k. And so that's going to move just up or down. And so we can pretty much transform these from our basic reciprocal function, 1 over x, that just has 2 branches like this and like this, right? So we can just move it up so much, and we can move it left or right so much based on that. And then a is going to be like any other a. Sometimes when it has a negative, it's going to flip, right? So this would flip over the x-axis and be up here. This one would flip over the x-axis and be down here. That's kind of ugly, but like that. So it just flips over the x-axis if that's negative. And if that's a big number, like 4, 5, 6, it just gets moved out here. This central point kind of just gets moved out here, like that. It just gets farther away from that, your vertical asymptote and your horizontal asymptote. Okay. So do an example here. We want to take this graph and transform it and then state the domain and range. So here's our basic parent function graph. That's what this looks like, the one in blue. So to graph this one, what we can do is just take our denominator, set it equal to 0. So x equals -1. So there's our vertical asymptote at x equals -1. And then what are we adding to or subtracting from at the end of the fraction? A -2. So that's going to move our horizontal asymptote down 2. So right here. So basically this central point, this point right here, this origin kind of just got moved down here. Now what basically you would just do, I would say, is just pick an x and find a y value and just solve it. Okay, so you pick an x, but you know you can't pick -1, right? -1 you can't have, right? So I just want to pick a number smaller than that, say 0, or I guess smaller than that would be like -2. And then here, one bigger is 0. And then once you have that, you can draw your branches just like this, right? So there's always 2 branches to these reciprocal functions that look like this. They can just be in any of the 4 quadrants, okay? So we just can plug in -2 in for my x, so -2. So I plug in -2, I get -1 over -4. That would be +4. 4 minus 2 equals 2, right? So I get this point, I plugged in -2 and I got 2. So I can graph that. So -2 up to 1, 2. Okay, and then I just want to plug in 1 to the right. And so that one might be, say, what did I say, 0? So -4 over 0 plus 1, that's -2. That would be just -4 over 1, which is -4 minus 2. That would be -6, right? So 0, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now basically the just branches, so I just have a new right here, kind of like a new y-axis and a new x-axis, my asymptotes. And then I just draw my branches. Since I'm in this one, I just stay in here, go towards that, and go towards that vertical asymptote. And then here, I go down towards the horizontal and up towards the vertical. If you want to graph more points, you can, but basically all you need is 1. So find your vertical asymptote, find your horizontal, plug in a couple numbers to the left of what makes this 0 and to the right, and then you can draw your 2 branches and you're done. So then stating the domain for this would be everything but -1, and range would be everything but -2. -1 can't be -1, and range can't be -2.